Sounds good, really. Michal, let us start with you again. Was mentioned a couple of times, but I will repeat the assumption that artificial intelligence is now concentrated in a few hands, right? Big companies, big data, big infrastructure. What do you see as the biggest risk in that losing control, losing diversity, or simply losing trust? There's discussion about the trust. In addition, how do we keep AI open and accessible for small countries? Startups and researchers still have a real chance to innovate, to be part of the game. There was a very good assumption or essential set about how to implement it. Dilute, right? So how to really implement, and the countries like Slovakia can be example that we don't need to have the biggest companies in the research, but we are able to be that country who will implement it and be next stage, which will bring a new innovations and new outcomes for the next phases of AI development.
Thank you, Tomasz. So the concentration of AI in few hands, honestly, the risk is very, very real. I mean, that's just not like the fear, that's very real. Like, so big corporations have data, they have compute, they have a budget, in some cases bigger than budget of Slovakia, you know. And so risk is actually a mix of all three, like losing control, losing diversity, losing trust, right? You know, like nobody really wants to worry that, like, you know, the AI is like a VIP lounge with, like, you know, red carpet, velvet robe, and somebody checking the GPU compute when you enter, right? You know, like it's really important that, you know, like we make sure that we don't lose anything, right? Like, so we don't want to lose control because we don't want to just learn about decisions that are happening in the closed boardrooms that we have no access to. This is already happening now, right? You know, we don't want, you know, loss of diversity because, you know, like these corporations, you know, have maybe one single data set or mix of data set, one single monoculture, and loss of trust is, we just get it if you don't get both of these right. Right, so, you know, what can we do to help, right? Like, so we need to really have open culture that even though, like, now I represent, you know, maybe, you know, private sector, I haven't actually ever left academia. So I've been in academia for 25 years, and, you know, I still try to be completely keep foot in academia and make sure that, you know, that there is a communication between the two. You know, that we also have open science, you know, that not maybe everything needs to be open, but the building blocks need to be open, right? That, you know, that everybody, you know, could build, you know, some of the system with this level, right? So that's kind of important that we had that, right? So it's important that we continue to make sure that you know, that if we build like if the Einstein is born here, you know, doesn't need a huge credit card, you know, to get a cluster. But at the same time, you know, we should not, as you said, not focus on teraflops. You know, we should really focus on bringing talent because that's something we can bring. You know, and with critical thinking, you know, this is something that is, you know, kind of antidote, you know, to the things that thin us, right? So, you know, I think it's important that you know, that the AI does not really become the gated community of few players. But we all work together for social benefits, and, you know, I think, you know, this is an important meeting for that, right? Like, and if you get it wrong, you know, like, you know, at least we will know exactly how wrong we get it. You know, we'll have really good AI for that.